Hello and welcome to Conquering Finale. My name is Jason Lafredo, and today we are taming time signatures again. I'm going to show you a little bit more about the show as another time signature option, as well as I'm going to get into the composite time signatures. And towards the end of the video, I'm going to combine both of these things to show you how to enter a cadenza bar in Finale. All right. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is that show other. Use a different time signature for display option. I touched on this a little bit in the first video as it relates to the ability to abbreviate 4/4 in common time or 2/2 as cut time, right? But there are many other uses of this this option here. And conceptually, I just want to start out with what this, what's happening under the hood with Finale here. So it's important to know that whatever's in the top section of the time signature dialog box here, this is what this will tell Finale how many beats are in the measure. So whether this is 4/4 or 7/4 or 25/8 or whatever, this is going to be the number of beats in that measure. And if we have this checked here, use a different time signature for display, it doesn't matter what's here on the top, this is what will display. So of course they can be completely different. You could have 7/4 here. Let's actually just do that. So we'll put 7/4 in the top half and use a different time signature for display 4/4. And if we click OK, nothing's changed. We're still in 4/4, so we think, except that now we can enter 7 quarter notes. All right. So it will allow you to do quote unquote inappropriate things in that way. All right. And I'm just going to reset all this for a second. Go back to 4/4. It will allow you to do inappropriate things. And it will be handy, and there are practical purposes for this, one of them being the cadenza bar, which I'll show you at the end of the video. And there are a couple other practical uses for this. And actually, I'm going to do a few other videos that will make use of that, all right? And the one other thing I wanted to point out about this is that, again, this top half is under the hood. This is what Finale is putting in the bar under the hood, which also means that if you have a tempo and you're dealing with playback, the tempo is going to take the top half into consideration, not the bottom half, all right? So again, the bottom half is simply just displaying, it's just putting a display there for you. So it's really what's in the top half that's dictating a lot of what's happening under the hood with Finale, all right? It's an important concept to understand with time signatures, and I just wanted to spend a minute talking about that, all right? The next thing I want to talk about in Finale is composite time signatures, all right? Now, Finale has some pre-set up for you in the contextual menu in the time signature. In fact, it's got 5/8 as 2 plus 3 and 5/8 as 3 plus 2, and two versions of 7/8 where you have 2/2/3 and 3/2/2, right? So it's easy enough to just choose one of those from the contextual menu and, start entering notes, and you're on your way. Sorry. And you're on your way, and you get the appropriate beaming. And if you want the other one, then simply just choose the other one, 3 plus 2 plus 2, and again, just start entering notes, and it's all set up for you. All right, and of course, as you know, if you have a stack selection and you copy and paste, you're also selecting the or copying pasting the time signature, so we can do that as well. Now, one thing I want to point out that is, let's say you've created a passage like this, and in retrospect you realize, well, you know what, the second bar really should have looked like the first bar. It should have that other 7/8 time signature. Well, of course, it's easy enough to just change it to that. So we'll go to 2 plus 2 plus 3, but you'll notice that nothing happened, or nothing appeared to happen. The time signature actually did change. I can show you that just by double clicking in the bar, and you'll see you got your 2 plus 2 plus 3 there. But the beaming didn't happen. So the beaming will not change retrospectively when you make a change like that. So there's a way to fix that, of course. If you have the bar selected, just choose MIDI audio and hit retranscribe, and it will retranscribe it to the current time signature, which is the 2 plus 2 plus 3 version of 7/8, all right? So that's how you would do with that. Let's go in here and start over again. Put everything back in 4/4. Now let's say, Finale gives you 2/2/3 and 3/2/2 as your options for 7/8, but let's say you want the other one, which would be 2/3/2, right? So how would we do that? Now we're going to have to get into the composite time signature option, all right? And so we've opened the time signature dialog box, we click composite, and we get a new window here, the composite time signature dialog box, all right? And you notice that you have beat groups on the top and beat durations on the bottom, right? Now, to get our 7/8 as 2 plus 3 plus 2, you would think that what you'd want to do is do 2, 3, 2, and then 8, 8, 8, all right? Unfortunately, that's not exactly correct, and what you get is, again, 7 individual eighth notes, and they're not going to be beamed, all right? So the proper way to do this, and actually I'll point out also that if you look at the time signature here, you're looking at 3 separate numerators as well as 3 separate denominators, right? The proper way to do this is actually all in the first box. So 2 plus 3 plus 2, all right? So now we get the beaming correct, and you'll notice that the time signature is different. The pluses are only in the numerator, so you've got 2 plus 3 plus 2 over a single 8. That is the way you'd want to do that, all right? And of course, now the time signature reads as a 2 plus 3 plus 2 over 8, which in some circumstances you may want to have. So if that's what you want to have, then you're done. Just click OK, and you're on your way. However, what we want is 7/8 as a display. So again, hit more options, use a different time signature for display, and now we can simply just choose 7/8 notes. All right. So again, this is the time signature and the beaming that we're getting under the hood. This is the time signature that we're viewing. And now we've got 7/8, and if we enter our eighth notes, we get the appropriate beaming. All right. So that's how you would do that other 7/8 bar. Let's just start over here. I'm going to show you a few other things with the composite time signature. First of all, you notice that in a normal time signature dialog box, without going into the composites, the beat durations, you're limited to 30-second notes. You can't go beyond 30-second notes. So you can't have you can't do 4/64th note time signature, for example, unless you use the composite time signature dialog box. And now you can. So let's say we're going to do, actually, let's do 4 plus 3. You know, we can do 16th notes. We can do 30-second notes. And now we can start doing more than that. So we can do 64ths. We can do 128ths. We can do 256. Of course, these are all factors of 2. I'm just multiplying by 2 every time. And in fact, I have continued this process for a long time until I got to the limit of finale, which I figured out was 4,096. So you could have a time signature of 4,096th notes if that was ever useful to you. That's as far as you can go, all right? Another thing that we can talk about in this composite time signature box is that you can actually have decimal places in the beat groups. So let's say we're going to create a time signature of 3 1/2, 4. We could actually do that, and you'll get this time signature that looks like that. And when you start entering notes in that, we will get exactly that. It's sort of a 7/8, but it's beamed differently, really. It's 3 sets of 2/8 notes and a half a set of 2/8 notes, if that makes sense. All right. And those decimal places can go farther than that, too. You could have 0.75. In fact, you can get kind of irrational with it, too, if you really want. You can actually have 3.1 over 4. And of course, this is going to create some weird things happening under the hood with Finale. So if you were to start entering notes in a 3.14 time signature, you get to the 6th, 8th note, and then enter the 7th, 8th note. And Finale is going to give you a warning that you've just created too many notes in that measure. So the thing to do is delete the extra notes, and Finale will automatically calculate the remainder. And you will get this weird rhythm like this. I guess that's the closest that Finale can think of coming to 3.1 or a 0.1 of a quarter note, okay? So it's there for you if you want to do something weird like that. It's entirely possible. And of course, anytime you have something in this dialog box, if you just press clear, it will reset everything back to normal for you. One other thing I wanted to point out was this option for use EDUs for beat duration. Now, there's a specific purpose for this, and it has to do with compound meters. So if we look at our beat durations pull-down menu, you notice that you have normal notes, whole note through 30-second notes, but you also have dotted notes, dotted half through dotted 30-second notes, right? But when you use the composite time signature dialog box, and you don't use EDUs, again, like I said before, you can use 1, 2, 4, 8, And if you enter something wrong, if you enter some like 9, it will round up to the next one, 16th, right? So how would you get like a dotted quarter note? Well, this is where EDUs come into play, unfortunately. So, for example, we could do something like 3/8 plus 2/4 plus 6/8. That may be a type of time signature that you would want. And of course, you notice that it's going to individually flag your eighth notes, which may be not what you want. And of course, you know that you can change it here in this one by doing 3 plus 3 to get your beaming there, but it's not gonna work for that first one, right? So how do we do this? This is where EDUs come into play. And if you know anything about EDUs, it's just converting the beat duration into a number. This is a standard number that's used in DAWs a lot and many MIDI programs. So if you know anything about it, you know that 1024 is the value for a quarter note, and then you divide it in half for an eighth note to 512. And so if you think about it, what we want is an EDU value that's 1.5 times a quarter note. And I've done the math for you already, and I know that that number is 1536. And now we don't want 3 of them, we just want 1 to get us our 3/8 in the first part. And again, in the second part, we can enter 1536, and again, we just want 2 of them now. And now we get that type of time signature, 3/8 plus 2/4 plus 6/8, and we can do it that way, all right? Just so you have them, a dotted 16th note is 7/68, so we could do 3/16. A dotted, again, a dotted eighth note is 1536, and a dotted quarter note is 30/72, all right? So that's how you do compound meters, at least for eighths, quarters, and half notes, right? It's just math. So if you know, if you know that a quarter note is 1024, you can do the math from there. So, all right, so that's how you would do that. So that is the composite time signature portion of the time signature dialog box. And the last thing I'm going to show you now, I did tell you that I was going to show you how to do a cadenza bar, and so we'll look at that right now. So let's say you've got this piano piece in 4/4, and you're writing along, and you decided that the fourth bar needs to be a cadenza. And unfortunately, Finale doesn't allow you to have an open time signature, as it were. Like, you just can't write notes and then put a bar line wherever you want it to. It doesn't quite work like that in Finale. You have to define the measure as having a certain the appropriate number of beats in it. All right. So let's say your cadenza is 25/16 notes long. Okay. So there's this simple way to do that is just go into the time signature dialog box, and we can just simply write 25/16 notes. And of course, we want to use the more options, use a different time signature for display, and again, 4/4. Now, when the 4/4 is displayed next to another 4/4 measure, it's not going to redisplay it, right? So it's going to look like nothing happened. All right, and now we can go in here, and we can enter our 25/16 notes. I've already lost count. Let's see, 25, there it is. And now we've got our cadenza of 25/16 notes. And of course, they're all individually flagged, which is probably not what you want. And of course, you can go and manually flag them if you want, but if we're clever about it, we can use the composite time signature to accomplish this as well. So we'll go into the composite. Now we've got 25. Let's say we know that it's, we'll put 16th in the beat duration. Let's say we know that it's, 10/16 notes plus 8/16 notes plus 7/16 notes. That's how we want to divide our 25, right? So we'll just put that in there. And of course, more options. Uses a different time signature, 4/4, just like we did before. Click OK. And now we can enter our 16th notes. And it 625, there we go. And it will beam it appropriately. All right. So that's how you'd go about creating a cadenza bar in Finale. Again, you have to trick Finale, quote unquote, into thinking that the time signature is something different, even though you can clearly see there's no displayed time signature, right? Because we're tricking Finale into thinking that we're telling Finale not to redisplay that by displaying another 4/4 measure here, which it will not display because it's the same as the bar before, right? So that is the cadenza bar. So that's a lot. I covered a lot. I covered all of the show and other time signature options. We talked about that conceptually. So hopefully now that you understand that, you can use that to your advantage at times. And I showed you the capabilities of the composite time signature, and I showed you how to do a cadenza bar. I covered a lot. So there will be a few more tutorials on time signatures, so come back for those, and we'll go from there. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.